This is DeltaTangoMike. Find me anywhere on the internet under DeltaTangoMike. And we're back with another episode of the Art is King podcast. Check us out online, artistking.org, and the meetup, Instagram, and Twitter at artisking_ATL. Now let's go ahead and get started with the show.
Yo, this Bone Crusher, and you're watching the Art is King podcast. Cast.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started and talk about part one of entrepreneurship. I've broken it up into three parts, and today we're going to talk about part one, which is about defining your talent. So what does it mean to define your talent? Defining your talent means that you have to figure out a couple of things about yourself, a couple of things about your process, a couple of things about your medium, and how intense and serious you are about the art. Once you figure out these different things, then you can start moving on to other parts of art entrepreneurship, which makes you an artrepreneur. Does that sound right? Artrepreneur. There we go. That was it. Let's go ahead and get started with part one, which is defining your talent. So define your talent begins with figuring out what kind of art materials you like to use and draw with. So do you like drawing with pencils? That's where I started. Everybody starts with pencils pretty much. Do you like drawing with crayons? Everybody likes crayons, and if you don't like crayons, you need to start at the beginning. Are you more into a digital artist? So let's pretend that this is a Cintiq pen of some kind. Maybe you like inks. So we got, of course, professional pens, and then we have the other types of digital ink that is a brush. Are you traditional artists into oils or paint, oils or acrylics? Great. So you start working and exploring which kind of art materials you like to use best. And in the very beginning, you should explore all of them and try them out. There was a point in time in my life when I got to pencil drawing really, really good, and I challenged myself to get better and try different techniques. So even after you explore all the different art mediums, you find one that you want to challenge yourself further and find out ways to improve or create new and different art. So define our talent by trying out and exploring different mediums. We have pencils, inks, acrylics, oils, watercolors. Do you like painting on walls? Do you like painting or drawing on skin? Do you like doing tattoos on people's skin? What kind of art materials do you like to play with the most? And as a traditional artist, we really get caught up into feeling and touching the art materials that we work with. Fashion designers that love the feel of fabric. My mother was knitted for a long, long time. So then that's when you get into that whole feeling of the fabrics and the threads. And a long time ago, she taught me how to sew. So I got stuck on my fingers a lot. So the point is that by exploring and trying things out, you also get a feel for the art materials that you're using. And that will let you know whether or not you enjoy doing that part. As time goes on, start looking at what kind of schedule do you like to keep with your art. And for me, I know that I cannot go a day without drawing. So to me, it's a daily thing. So let's look at your calendar. Are you a hobbyist that likes to draw and paint and so on after a long day of work, and then you have a little bit of time to draw and paint? Or are you the kind of person that has to draw every day and maybe draw while you're on the job? That happened to me in real life, where I was in the Marine Corps a long time ago, and during the day I had to work on data stuff and computer stuff, but I spent most of my time drawing on my desk, and people got mad about it. And when I mean people who were in charge and saw me drawing all day. And that's the kind of stuff that I feel that was my passion. It was always there. I had to draw. I had to get it out, no matter what situation I was in, no matter where I was, including carrying a sketchbook all the time. So if you're the kind of person that has to spend their days drawing and painting or working on some kind of artwork, then you already getting into the mode of figuring out that your schedule is gonna revolve around a lot of artwork. What you want to do is figure out these two things first, and then move on to what you should do, and then we'll talk about what you should not do. All right, what you should do is, again, like I said earlier, experiment with mediums, try them out. Met some cool artists in Vegas a few years ago, and I was surprised by the kind of mediums they work with, and they just did it for fun. I realized that I had not played with enough art materials even as a full-time artist, and that I was missing out. You never know what you're kind of feeling and emotion you're going to get. You never know what kind of art you're going to create. So you want to go ahead and experiment as much as possible. You want to explore your creativity. You want to challenge yourself and see how far you can take it. How long can you sit there and work on something? Or maybe even step away from it and come back and then see it with different eyes and fresh eyes to then figure out whether or not this what you're doing is coming out the way you want to, or even have new solutions for the problems that you were facing before. You want to find your voice. Understand what you're trying to say with your art. So the idea is that anybody who draws a stick figure is automatically an artist. All right. So if you draw a stick figure right now, bam, artist. You got it. You get that title. But then there comes another part where now you have to figure out, well, how do you stand out from all the other artists who draw stick figures? What is it about you that's different? What are you doing to that stick figure and the way you represent that stick figure that's going to get people to pay attention and say, you know what, you draw some really cool stick figures. So that's where you now have to work on what is your message and what are you trying to say to the world? What is the themes that connects your stick figures together so that then you can bring in an audience and command attention. So these are the things that you should be working on and trying things out. And if you're already doing it, then you already passed the first part of the entrepreneur plan, all right? My 3-step plan. So now the last thing I want to say is what not to do. So there are several things you should not do. Number one is don't get caught up on the market. For a while there, everybody was all about the coloring books. Coloring. Let me write this out real quick. Coloring books, right? So the coloring books were a big rage, and every artist was making a coloring book, trying to chase the market. Do not get caught up in those things because the market changes. There's always something that's trending, and if you get caught up in trying to create the artwork that's going to attract what's trending, by the time you master that thing and get on the market, the trend has passed on. And so now you're really just chasing the market. So don't get caught up in that. Watch out what people are saying to you. A lot of folks will try to get you involved into their ideas because they see your talent. And this happens to me all the time. I get artists or people who tell me, hey man, you should be doing some t-shirt designs and we'll sell them and we'll do this and that and you make a lot of money. And then you figure out the fashion industry is really hard to get into. You figure out that it's a lot of money that goes into printing. You figure out that it's a big business that has to be put together in order to sell these shirts. And then I realized that I'm not the kind of person who wants to sit at a table all day and do one transaction at a time for each t-shirt that I want to sell. So you have to think about what is it that you really want to do and don't get caught up in those things that people tell you to do or they're asking you to do. And the very last thing that you should do is challenge yourself. Go ahead and make sure that you can, once you figure out what you like to do and what you want to work on, the type of medium and the type of techniques, challenge yourself to try out new things to see how far you can take this art form. Now, in the next couple of videos, we're going to talk about finding your market and then making sure that you have cultivate the thriving artist mentality. So the last message that I have for you today is focus on your art, focus on your talent, and develop and challenge yourself to the point that then we can start talking about the business of art. All right, this is DTM. Check us out at artistking_ATL, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.